Good evening, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. We are not going to get started just yet. I'm going to try to let a few more people get checked in. However, at this time, I am going to ask that if you are able to stand and you are not a member of the electorate, that you would please wait in the city lobby rather than in chambers, since the electorate are going to be participating in making the motions and voting. Members who are not a part of the electorate, meaning a registered voter of Urbana, will still be welcome to participate as part of public input. But given the large turnout this evening, we're going to have to cycle in and out. I have asked Urbana Public Television to continue the broadcast on the TV in the lobby. So I do want to confirm that you guys out in the city lobby are able to hear me through that TV. If I can just kind of get some thumbs up from the folks that are standing in the city lobby, if they can hear me through the TV. No? You can see but not hear. Okay. Perfect. This is exactly why we're not going to get started just yet, because I want to make sure that everybody can hear me just fine and that we can all participate fully in this meeting. So thank you guys so much for your patience this evening. We will get started momentarily. righty. Hello, neighbors. If you could please quiet down. I think we're going to go ahead and try and get started. Hello. Good evening, neighbors. If I can ask you to please take your seats and stop discussions at this time. Thank you. Alrighty, if I can also have a thumbs up from somebody in the city lobby that you can hear me okay through the TV out there with the microphone. You can hear me okay? Wonderful, thank you. Okay, good evening, neighbors. I'd like to call to order this annual meeting of the Cunningham Township Electorate. It is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, and the time is now 6:13. This is the annual meeting of the Township Electorate, which means this is not a meeting of the elected officials of Township, but rather a meeting of the registered voters of the Township. Attendees who are registered voters of the Township are asked to please sign in on the sign-in sheet in the back of the room with Raphael and Tom. Of course, neighbors who are not registered voters within the Township are still welcome to attend, but they are not able to participate beyond public input this evening. Registered voters of the Township this evening, you will be the ones making motions and voting on the business. So I will call out to the floor asking for a motion and a second, and ultimately a voice vote for items that call for a voice vote. When you make a motion, please state your first and last name for both the motion and the seconder, whichever you may be, audibly so that I may hear you. And I do apologize. I have an inner ear infection, so I am a little bit hard of hearing. So if you are able to please speak loudly and or speak into the microphone at the front of the room, that would be greatly appreciated for the meeting record. And as a reminder, only registered voters who reside within Cunningham Township or the city limits of Urbana may make motions and vote this evening, and all others may still participate via public input. With that, our first item of business on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes of the prior year's electorate meetings. We had a meeting on April 8th, 2025. That was, of course, the annual meeting. And then we also had a special meeting on June 16th, 2025. The minutes for those meetings were included online in the digital packet and were also included in printed copies of the packet that were available on the back table. At this time, I will ask for a motion to adopt the minutes for both of these meetings, please. Please state your name. Motion made by Mark Ansel and a second by Diane Gottile. Thank you. Alrighty, were there any corrections to the minutes as presented? Corrections would be like spellings of a name if you happen to attend one of those prior meetings. Seeing none, those in favor of approving the minutes for the April 8th, 2025 annual meeting and the special minutes, or the minutes for the June 16th, 2025 special meeting, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next item before the body is the adoption of the public input guidelines. So because this is not the city council, you don't have public input guidelines until we adopt some. I have provided a copy of the city council public input rules in the meeting packet because I believe that they are the public input guidelines that most of us are probably likely to be familiar with. Within those public input guidelines, members will have up to 5 minutes to speak. We have a timer up here that we would utilize. And if that is acceptable, can I please have a motion to adopt the proposed public input guidelines? So who is making the motion? Okay. Motion by Diane Gottile. Okay. Is there a second to approve the public input guidelines? You're all right. There was a second at the back of the room. Thank you. Seconded by Lila Leopold. All righty. Was there any discussion about the public input guidelines as presented? Well, we have to have public input at every meeting, but we certainly can consider adjusting the time allotted. Are you willing to make an amendment to that effect?
I recommend we amend it
2 minutes per person. And what was your name? Motion by Joyce Latham to amend the public input guidelines to be 2 minutes. Is there a second for that amendment? I see a hand. Please stand and state your name. Seconded by Marcy Goldstein. All righty. Since we have an amendment on the floor, we're going to take that one first. I'm going to ask for a show of hands because I think that's going to be easier for me to ascertain a majority than voice vote volume. So those in favor of amending the public input guidelines to 2 minutes, please raise your hand. Okay. Those opposed, please raise your hand. I do think it was more in favor. So with that, that motion is amended. So we still have to adopt the public input guidelines as amended. So the motion is still on the floor that they are amended. Is there further discussion?
Yes, I would like to make another amendment.
So public input is open to all subjects. It is not limited to one subject. So unfortunately, we cannot consider amendment of that nature because we cannot limit the speech of public input. It's protected under freedom of speech. So just like at city council meetings, people can come in and speak on issues that are not on the agenda. Is there any further discussion on the amended motion as it appears on the floor? Seeing none, at this time, I will ask that all those in favor please say aye of adopting the public input guidelines as amended with 2 minutes per speaker. Aye. Thank you. Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay. And with that, we have adopted our public input guidelines. Thank you guys so much for your participation up until this point. I promise this is one of the last times you are going to hear from me because since this is a meeting of the electorate, you guys have the opportunity to elect a moderator. Which I have. There we go. Okay. So the moderator must be a registered voter that resides within the township. I do have a script available up here, and the only bribe that I have to help me assist in the administrative duties is you get a very pretty gold certificate to keep as a piece of memorabilia. And we will take nominations from the floor, and we'll go through that process very similar to how we adopted the public input guidelines. So with that being said, is there any nominations for a moderator from the floor?
I nominate Brian Maxwell.
Okay. Just a moment, please. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a nomination for Brian Maxwell, and please state your name. Okay. And then there was a second. Would you please state your name as well? Okay. And most importantly, before we proceed further, Brian Maxwell, are you comfortable with moderating the meeting? You are not comfortable. Would you be? Okay, since we don't presently have a candidate who is interested, is there another nomination from the floor for a moderator? Okay, one at a time, pretty please. That's great. I need a motion and a second to consider it.
Motion for Dylan Blaha.
Okay, and what was your name?
Elise Cadeau.
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that?
Just, does it have to be full? Can I just do a nickname?
Just your first and last.
Elise.
Mm-hmm.
Cadeau.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And then is there a second? Okay, what was your name? Yes.
August.
Okay. And Dylan Blaha, do you accept being moderator? Okay, wonderful. At this time, all those in favor of electing Dylan Blaha as the moderator, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those opposed, same sign. Okay. All righty. At this time, Mr. Dylan Blaha, will you please come to the front? You get to sit up here. And we'll have to take the oath too.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll sign both copies so I don't have to run away and take a copy. So when you pretty please, go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of moderator
discharge the duties of moderator
at this town meeting
at this town meeting
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay. Go ahead and sign there for me.
Beautiful.
And we'll sign on this one too. Perfect. We'll sign this one. Then I will just go ahead and orient you to the materials here. Okay, so this top one is your script. And we have already done all of this. And in fact, the next few things are actually pretty straightforward.
Beautiful.
So we actually are going to move on to public participation.
Okay.
And it is no longer 5 minutes.
It's 2 minutes.
We changed that to 2 minutes.
Do you keep the time, or do you want
I
me to
do keep the time,
Okay.
so you don't have to keep the time.
Okay.
You just will, if there is like a slow point, we are going to like ask people to, if they still want to provide public input. Again, freedom of speech, we can't censor anything that they say, nor would we want to. And then later on in the meeting, there's instructions for every other portion. And I have indicated if you should direct staff or myself to do something, so you don't
Okay.
have to know the stuff, you just have to read the script.
Okay.
So,
Beautiful. Perfect.
Thank you so much for participating.
Yeah,
And
thank you
here's the
for
pen.
having me. All right,
Yeah.
perfect. And who writes notes? Is anyone writing notes?
I am keeping the official roll.
Okay, perfect.
So, yep. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and hit that button, and the light will turn green.
I'll just say the moderator should invite anyone wishing to.
Yeah, at this
okay.
time, I would invite anyone who wishes
Yeah.
to provide public input to come to the microphone up front.
At this time?
Hit the button. Just want
At this time? Okay. At this time, I invite anyone wishing to provide public input to come to the microphone to speak for 2 minutes. They may state their name if they wish if they wish it to be included in the meeting record. When no one is moving to speak at the microphone, then we will ask if there's any further input, and we will end it there. But may the first person please come forward.
All right, is this on? Can you guys hear me? Cool. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, this is loose. Can you hold up with that clock? Okay, cool. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Brian Maxwell. Thank you all for participating in local direct democracy. Love to see people engaged in democracy. And thank you for the Cunningham Township for hosting this and granting the electors the right to discuss an item that's on the agenda tonight. As one of the local community supporters supporting the referendum on the agenda tonight, I want to give some context around this referendum. Tonight, Cunningham Township is not alone in voting on this referendum. In 11 townships around the state tonight, including townships in Chicago, Peoria, Springfield, Bloomington, and here in Champaign County, people are voting on this referendum to be included on the November ballot in 11 different townships around the state. And this reflects a growing frustration across Illinois and in this country of our government's role in not just funding human rights violations with our tax dollars, despite wide public opposition, but then also restricting the free speech of Americans to speak out about those human rights violations. So this referendum tonight addresses the right to engage in peaceful protest, and it is not specifically singling out Israel because of a random decision to target Israel. This is not random. This referendum is in direct response to the fact that in 2015, Illinois became the first state in the country to pass a law penalizing Americans for boycotting Israel. There is no other country in the world that Americans are penalized for boycotting except for Israel. If you're an American business who chooses to boycott Israel, you will be penalized by the state. And this is not just theoretical. This has been done repeatedly in the state to smear and target with divestment American and Chicago-based companies. Man, 20 seconds is quick. It's protected by the First Amendment right, and that is why 3 different federal courts have struck down anti-BDS laws. It's time for Illinois to do the same, and I hope that Urbana joins 11 other townships tonight in approving this referendum. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Brian. May the next person please come forward. Stating your name is optional.
Hey everybody, I'm Derek Riles. I live in Urbana, Ward 4, just around the corner here. This is a no-brainer, obviously, right? You cannot, it's obvious how unpopular the genocide waged by the illegitimate state of Israel is, that you have to enshrine it in law to keep people from boycotting it, right? No one supports this war. No one, the American people don't support the war in Iran. They don't support the genocide of the Palestinian people. They don't support the war on Lebanon, right? And this is proof that you have to put it in law to say it's illegal to boycott the state of Israel and punish companies for doing that. Absolutely insane, right? That's not happened for any other country. What is this? This is absolutely insanity, right? This is an easy vote. It is clearly an issue of free speech, right? We should have the ability to boycott whatever we want. I know these old folks up here like to laugh and jeer, and it'll laugh and jeer when they lose the vote. Oh, I'm so nasty.
Just a
I'm
moment.
so nasty
Just
that
a
I'm
moment.
not support.
Just a moment. I paused the time, so I'm not taking time from you. I will remind folks that in the interest of decorum, that only one person should be speaking at a time. So please just, if you are unable to remain quiet, I will ask that you walk out into the city lobby just so that we can have an orderly meeting again. I also am having hearing issues, but also we want to make sure that the audio recording record is audible for those watching it at home and for the record. So thank you. I'll go ahead and restart the timer.
So aside for a couple of people in the front row here, the people of America support Palestine. Working people of the world support Palestine. Disconnected capitalists that want to exploit your labor and burn this country to the ground to save their power support Israel. The people do not. And this is clear, right? Because if you have to make a law to say you can't be mad at Israel, oh, it's illegal to not like Israel, obviously that's a problem. This is an issue of free speech. Everyone, I'm confident, is going to vote yes. I'm not concerned about this not passing. I don't need to convince you. You all know to do the right thing. And I'm excited about it.
Hello, my name is Sherry Steigman, and I'm going to address some of the random comments of the previous speaker. On March 26, 1968, the Reverend Martin Luther King, 9 days before his assassination, said, "Peace for Israel means security, and we must stand with all of our might to protect its right to exist, its territorial integrity, and the right to use whatever sea lanes it needs. I see Israel, and never mind saying it, as one of the great outposts of democracy in the world, and a marvelous example of what can be done, how desert land can be transformed into an oasis of brotherhood and democracy. Peace for Israel means security, and that security must be a reality." The Palestinians were offered a state in 37, 47, 67, 1993, and 2000, and they said no, 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 no. How many of you know when Hamas invaded Israel and killed thousands and butchered and tortured and raped and burned babies in 2023, how many Jewish people were living in Gaza? None, not one, and I'm sure most of you do not know that. In fact, in 2005, Israel entirely withdrew from Gaza unilaterally, including and unconditionally, including exhuming the bodies. On October 7th, 2023, you know what happened. You just wish to deny it. And Hamas subsequently said, "We will repeat October 7th attacks until Israel is annihilated." October 7th is just the first time, and there will be a second, a third, and a fourth, because we have the determination, the resolve, and the capabilities to fight. We are called a nation of martyrs and are proud to sacrifice martyrs. Again, the Palestinians value death more than life. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to take that long. My name is Michael. I'm from Champaign. And I'd like to say that, you know, I was born in '66, you know, and I'd just like to say I'm Muslim. I've been Muslim for 35 years now. And that's when I became very more conscious than I am now, you know, about social issues, because U of I students, they would, you know, a lot of them came to the masjid and I got with them. But I was born in '66, but it wasn't until like the early '90s, where I became more social in regards to other people who didn't live in the United States. And I don't remember the discrimination African Americans got here in the country. That is a country that the richest country. They didn't end. I'm going to talk about slavery, but they didn't end Jim Crow law until maybe the late '60s. Now these people, you know, she made a comment, you know, yeah, but she really making comments about how to save children. You know, children. These are children being killed. If I'm not mistaken, they're still being killed. But I like to say this. And then I'm gonna sit down. I like to say this. I had a heart attack back in February, so it's kind of hard for me to memorize. But, you know, I didn't come, you know, I knew that when it came to black and white
I'm sorry.
getting together.
Your time has concluded, sir. You are welcome to still submit written public input through the adjournment of this meeting. You're also welcome to ask for a piece
It's a
of
shame
paper.
in between seconds.
I'm sorry. We voted on the rules. It is 2 minutes per person, and given the large volume of persons in this
okay.
room wishing to
Yeah,
address
there's
the
a lot of
body,
people
I
here.
ask you to please cede the microphone to the next person wishing to speak. If you would like to provide written remarks to complete your public input, you are welcome to do so up until the adjournment of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Stephen McGuire. I'd like to address some previous comments. Ariel Sharon moved settlers out of Gaza in 2005 because the area had become such a hotbed that he had to. This was not a humanitarian effort. Moreover, consider they then walled off and blockaded Gaza. People trying to leave Gaza were shot by Israeli snipers. People trying to bring food in were shot by Israeli snipers, or the food was kept out of Gaza. Not only that, but in the West Bank, you've talked about Hamas's policies. Let's talk about Fatah's. Fatah negotiated peace treaties with Israel, peace treaties that Israel broke. We are recommiserating our sin of genocide and theft against the native people. In the West Bank is controlled by Fatah. Fatah did not attack Israel in any way, yet Israeli colonists repeatedly steal Palestinian land. How is that explained? Also, why is Lebanon being bombed? And you say Israel's a democracy. A democracy allows all the people who are affected by the policy of that governmental entity to vote and are represented. Israel is not a democracy. If Israel was a democracy, all the people, the Palestinian people, would not be considered permanent residents. They'd be allowed to vote on Israeli policy, but they are not. Let's be clear. If you have to codify that we can't boycott Israel, it's unpopular. Let the people speak.
Hello, my name is Jessica Yassine. I am a resident of Urbana, Illinois. And I'm just here today to say that whatever you're here for, whether it's pro or con, I'm just happy you're here. I think it's very important as Americans that we vote, that we have a democracy. The reason why I'll be voting the way I'll be voting tonight is because of the fact that I don't think it's right for government to tell us how to divest or invest. I'm not for that. I don't think it's right that you're actually going to be penalized for divesting in something, whatever it may be. I may not agree with it. You may not agree with it. Do what I do. Like, there's companies out there that invest in things I don't like. I boycott them. I don't want to be a part of that. But what I would not be okay with is the state of Illinois telling them that they're not allowed to invest in what they're investing in. That's not right. As Illinoisans, we should keep our government outside of making decisions for our body, making decisions for our companies, our businesses. And like I said, I don't care if you agree with me or not, I'm so happy to see the American people here and speaking up for whatever is important in their heart. And to those of you who wanted to make your little comments to me, I forgive you because I'm a good person. I don't want to stand with that negativity. Take care.
Hi, my name is Gwyneth. I wasn't planning on speaking, but considering some of the earlier comments, I just want to remind the amount of sort of white liberals' propensity for using MLK as a sort of soundbite is not okay. And I want to also sort of give a little context and remind us that anti-BDS laws were used against MLK in the Montgomery boycotts. I learned that just today because CMAC is putting on a really lovely series every Tuesday to be studying the civil rights movement. I encourage everybody to join in the way that we're joining in our sort of civil responsibilities here. We also have a responsibility to be learning these things. And also, as a Jewish member of this community, as someone who was raised and had my B'nai Mitzvah at Sinai Temple, I want to remind us that our legacy of Rabbi Isaac Newman, who marched at Selma with King, and that the synagogue didn't want him to go, that they didn't encourage him. They were scared for his safety. They were scared for, there was pushback against him going. And then later there was more encouragement that there was, I think it's really easy to stand with just whatever everybody else is saying in your community. And I encourage people to vote with your conscience, not only in this, but in other things, to encourage us to express our freedom of speech, and not only to align yourself with whatever hot topic is important to you in the moment. So thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, okay. Hello. My name is Julie Watkins. I'm an Urbana resident. I support the proposed referendum. I believe that the law the referendum refers to is part of a bad trend that should be reversed. I want to talk about the trend. As I've often stated, laws are politics. And having laws that don't have public support reduces respect for the law. So it's bad to support bad law. And often backroom supporters of unpopular laws don't have a moral standing. A company that makes bombs that destroy bodies and houses and land can't get public support for saying our profits have to be protected. However, they can encourage other people to be scared. And because saying, I have to protect my life, does get listened to. And since the law is about, since this law came in, there's been much litigation against anti-war, protest against anti-pollution, protest against other protests. And I lost it, at any rate. But on the topic of climate crisis, because everything is connected, every next best step includes regional or global cooperation. War blocks that. And the planet burns. War and pollution profiteers don't want to be told to change. They don't care about people or the environment. Sorry, I couldn't finish.
You can also take the microphone out of the thing if that's easier.
Yes. Drive the mic. My name's Joyce Latham. I'm from Urbana, Illinois. I live just down the road. I'm one of the old white ladies here tonight. I just want to say that I'd like to point out that however we feel about which side is engaged in this regional conflict that's been going on since the end of the Ottoman Empire, the resolution is about whether our government can tell companies where they can and cannot invest. And that's the point of this resolution. And I don't see anybody telling Bill Gates where he can invest. So I think my concern is I want the government functioning as minimally in my life as possible. Thank you.
Good evening, if it's evening. My name is Penny Hanna. I live in Urbana. I've lived here quite a long time. I receive the benefits of a pension fund that's from the state, TRS. I receive an annuity from my deceased husband, SURS. And if I wanted to change the policies of those pension funds, I would go and vote at their meetings or do research and find out whether these investments were good. I think this law is short-circuiting your right to address the issues of who's doing what with their businesses. Nowhere in the world, in any room, this room included, are we going to solve the issue between the Palestinians and the Israelis at this moment or maybe in the near future. I think we can settle the problem of what our state is doing with this law, which is denying citizens their right to vote in terms of how businesses should be regulated. There's plenty of things that businesses should be regulated for. Whether they boycott a single country in the entire world is not one of them. This is a bias. This is not the position that our state government should conduct. So this is a bad amendment, and it should be abolished. So I vote in favor of abolishing this amendment to serve the interests of all the people of the state and not pass a precedent where the government is creeping into areas it shouldn't be. We live in a series of years in the recent past where our government is no longer representing its people. The representatives are not representing their constituents. This is your chance to stand up and fight this process. So if you do want democracy, you have to work to change it, not to attack others who live in the same society as you do. We all suffer from the loss of our rights.
My name is Diane Gottheil. I'm one of the old ladies in the front row. I felt I needed to represent us. I also want to commend the gentleman who said he was born in 1966. I honor his presence here. I was at the March on Washington in 1964. I also knew Rabbi Newman very well personally, a personal friend. The Jewish community supported him marching in Selma. So that was a factual misstatement. I also wonder why so many people, I mean, here we are, a room full of settlers. We are in the land of the indigenous people, and we have the nerve to come here and talk that somehow the Jews can't return to their indigenous land. Somehow people come out against the Jews, even some of the Jews, because of course they're not like me, they're the good Jews. So I just want to say that it's just disheartening to know that so many people get excited about something because it's anti-Israel, and probably most of you don't know there are over a million Israeli, Arab, Muslim citizens of Israel, and they're not leaving. Have you noticed? They're quite satisfied. They're minorities, so they're not totally satisfied, and they have to keep fighting for all of their rights, but they're in a democracy, and they're happy to be there. And I'm happy they're there because Israel is a very diverse society. Most of you have never been there. You probably know nothing about it. It's a wonderful, diverse place. They even welcome old white ladies like me. Actually, I don't feel white. I feel Jewish.
Yeah, hi, my name is Alexander Stolyer. I'm an Urbana resident. And again, I'm not gonna, I didn't prepare any speech, but I'm not gonna go to the origins of the underlying conflict. I could talk about it for a very long time and have strong opinions about it. But I just want to say, people say, the rules we should abolish, government should not be in our life. You're saying should be no laws? There's a reason for the laws. Okay, for example, the current laws make it illegal to support terrorist organizations and states sponsoring terrorism. If you send money donation to Hamas or Hezbollah, that's illegal. Did you know that? I think this is right because it's a national security issue. Okay, so government has the right to interfere with things like this. Okay, and there is a reason why there are laws which prohibit boycott of Israel. Okay, again, I'm not going to comment. Like the lady before me, very eloquently said, that when I compare, situation, in Israel, including Arab citizens, with what happens around, I like Israel better. But I'm not going to talk about this. There are reasons for the laws. It's a national security issue. So boycott of Israel. This publicity stunt will not do anything anyway. But this is a slippery slope. You're saying, I can do anything I want. I can send, I can send checks to terrorists. No, that should not be allowed. There is a reason for prohibition of boycott of Israel, and it should stay. I'm voting no.
My name is Jessica Greenberg. I don't know if I'm a good Jew or a bad Jew, but I'm an Urbana Jew. And I'm speaking here, I want to bring the topic back to the question of what this referendum means for our democracy. I am a very proud member of this community, to echo my friend Jessica, precisely because this is, as the kids say, what democracy looks like. And as somebody who has studied for over 25 years democracy, international law, and international human rights law. I'm a professor of anthropology, and those are my areas of expertise, particularly in Eastern Europe. As somebody who's studied democratic backsliding and very closely, this is what democratic backsliding looks like. This referendum. This is exactly how democracy dies. And I know it may sound to you like this is hysterical, or this is leftist propaganda, or this is, something to be easily dismissed, but the empirical record bears this out. Violations or sanctions on freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, and freedom of speech start small. They start from within local legislatures, and they have a creeping effect that suddenly means one day you look up and, frankly, you're Hungary of 2 weeks ago, right? And I really cannot emphasize enough, speaking of that election, what overturned Orban's 16-year authoritarian rule was local democratic organizing, it was community support, it was open discussion, it was civil society. Let's not get to the point where we have to be out on the streets for the next 16 years. Let's preserve the democracy we have now. Yeah, I would vote yes for this ballot.
Hi, sir. Sir, you have already spoken once this evening. Everyone is allowed to speak one time.
There was no one in.
You are not allowed to speak more than once during public input per our public input guidelines that we adopted. So you can still provide written public input, either via handwritten or via email. Yes, I did, sir. Please, at this time, cede the microphone. If you would like to provide further public input, do so pursuant to the written public input guidelines we adopted. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Farah. I'm a resident of Urbana, and I just wanted to say, first of all, I feel so privileged to be able to vote today. I also really like this question, and I'm thankful for the folks who went to the effort of submitting the petition to get it this far. Getting this question on the ballot will help support this Illinois bill because it'll make it clear what the people want. Our state representative, Carol Ammons, is a co-sponsor already. Thank you to Representative Ammons. And we'd love it if our state Senator Faraci would also step up and represent his constituents on this topic. Also, most of my family is in Lebanon. They are in danger again. Some relatives have had to leave their homes after bombs fell very close to them. Relatives who are pretty normally composed and straight-faced have admitted that it was very scary. And they do not deserve to feel that level of fear. I can't imagine being that close to an explosion that killed other people. In the past 6 weeks alone, 2,089 people were killed by Israel and 6,762 were injured in Lebanon. Every single one of them matters. Every single one of them has as much value as I do. So many people are sleeping in the streets. Society has changed for the worse. Refugees have filled the schools. Last I heard, the number of displaced people was 1.2 million. Now my relatives are part of them. And now with Israeli ground troops in the country, there have been statements from officials in Israel that they'd like to annex southern Lebanon to become the new northern Israel. This might sound familiar historically. Illinois is still supporting Israel through a bill that was passed under Governor Rauner, and today we want to help end that political cover that Illinois has been providing only to Israel, even after all the human rights laws they've violated. I've been talking to my relatives in Lebanon, and I've told them about what we are doing today. And they've said, thank you for everyone for working on this. And after we're done voting today, I'm going to tell them what happened. So I want everyone to know who is voting yes today, that you're going to make my cousins feel better. Thank you.
Hey there, everyone. My name is Ben Jocelyn, and I'm a proud member of this community since I was born. I believe that everyone has the right to safety. I believe that everybody has the right to self-determination. I believe that all children are equal and deserve to live. And that's why I'm voting yes. We can talk about history, we can talk about policy. What we've seen for the last couple of years is death and death and death and death. And there's no point in my life when the safety of the people in my neighborhood has felt more connected to the amount of weapons infrastructure we're investing in abroad. The people who are dying from gun violence because their lives are divested from aren't having the resources they need. That makes my life less safe because we are sending money abroad for weapons of death. And I cannot support a world that continues to invest in weapons of war and the continued death of children and other folks who do not deserve to be displaced and killed with my money. And if I want to not have my money go to those causes, I should have a state that allows me to do so without punishment. That's a basic liberty that all people should be afforded. And so when this vote eventually goes yes, I will be so proud of this community that I live in, which I'm already proud of even now. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Thomas. A lot of people have introduced themselves as proud members of this community. I am not proud. My country has collaborated in the destruction of Yemen with Saudi Arabia. We're now collaborating on the destruction of Palestine and Iran with Israel. We look the other way when Azerbaijan is ethnically cleansing, I'm sorry, blanking on the name. What's that? Armenia, yes, thank you. And frankly, we're looking the other way when our ally, the United Arab Emirates, is working on genocide in the Congo. So I'm really not proud. I've never been less proud of my country, to be honest. It's been a bipartisan agreement that our country commits genocide around the world. And this is one small way that we can try to chip some of that back. So please vote yes.
All Hi, my name is Lila Leopold, and I'm a bit shaky and nauseous and feel pretty crappy because yet again I have to come and offer the voice of feel my ancestors rolling over in their graves, watching democracy that they so hoped would be a refuge for them and their families and their kids become something that we can live in together. I have German Jewish side of the family with cantors in synagogues going back 600 years, and I just would really like to channel their voices and desires from everything they have learned through what they've gone through throughout history in various places and various moments, and how their descendants and relatives came here and have worked in labor coalitions with their neighbors across the civil rights spectrum their entire lives to try to build a better future. And for that reason, I will vote yes. My entire family will vote yes. All of my ancestors will vote yes. And I would like to bring them in the room here. Und auch, wenn das jemand hier, der Deutsch spricht, kann man so die Hände hoch? Nein? Nein? Nein, nein, keine Hände hoch. Okay, so wollen wirklich, wenn du ein bisschen langsamer und ruhiger mit mir sprechen möchtest, können wir, weil ich habe so die Sprache wieder gelernt, mich selbst, weil ich könnte es nicht, weil ich nicht dort geboren bin. Nach 600 Jahren musste ich hierher kommen. Also wir können gerne reden, okay?
Hi, my name is Dyson Singer, and I wanted to, a point was raised earlier about a slippery slope and how the state is supposed to look out for national security. I think in this case, you shouldn't confuse being able to boycott a nation and conflate that with the idea of material support for a terrorist organization. I do not think those are the same things. As private citizens, we have the right to withhold our support, okay, from an institution. That is not the same as supplying material support for an institution or any body. Okay, so as private citizens, it is our right to withhold our support and money for something we don't agree with, and this law basically makes that, as private citizens or private business owners, basically illegal, and that is not in support of free speech. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brigitte Pichke. I have a business here in town, and I'm German and American. So I want to tell people what it looks like after 1946. I was born in 1946. So I want to tell you, I went to Bergen-Belsen, and I saw what the Nazi regime did. It was awful. You can't even describe it. And if anything like this happens now in Israel, violence brings violence, and that's what they have to avoid here. And it's really important that they understand this. And I will vote definitely yes.
Sorry, just a moment. I got indication that we possibly can't hear the volume in chambers from the hall. We can? Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Hi, I'm a resident of Urbana and electing to stay so for the next couple of years. I think at its core, judging from this, you can all tell which side I'm on, but this is inherently a referendum asking people's opinions. This this law was put into place in 2015, and obviously many of us in this room know that the atrocities that Israel has been committing against Palestinians is much, much older than 2023. It has been going on for decades, but a lot of new developments have occurred since 2023. We have seen atrocities, as Ben put it before. We have seen death. I have seen videos of children's bodies hanging from buildings. I have seen stuff that I will never be able to unsee. And I think that is the case for a lot of people. This law was set in place in 2015. People have learned things since then. People are allowed to learn things over time. And we should allow our constituents, our fellow citizens, to be able to have a say in their changes in views. In maybe they were okay with this in 2015 and they aren't now, and that's okay. And we need, as citizens, to allow each other to voice this. We should put this on the ballot so people can express their views, so people can have a say in what their state allows versus doesn't allow. We need a voice, and free Palestine.
Hi, I'm a resident of Urbana, and just wanted to remind of how Israel is continuing to invade Palestinian land. So according to analysis by Al Jazeera, Israel has attacked Gaza on 165 out of the past 187 days of the so-called ceasefire, meaning there were only 22 days which reported no violent attacks. But despite continuing attacks, the U.S. insists that the ceasefire is still holding. More specifically, Israel has killed at least 757 Palestinians and injured over 2,000, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. On October 19th and 29th, Israel has killed a total of 154 people. Israel forces killed 45 people in a massive air raids across the Gaza Strip a couple months ago. And then they also killed many children. On October 29th, Israel killed 109 people, including 52 children. It's important to note that around half of the Palestinian population is children. On November 22nd, at least 21 Palestinians were killed in a spat of Israeli drone and missile attacks throughout northern and central Gaza, with dozens of others wounded. Again, this is why it's important to not allow the state to tell us what to do with our business.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a resident of Urbana. Happy to be here. Well, not the conditions, but location is good. Earlier, some folks had brought up security concerns and safety concerns and how safety laws exist for a reason. Well, a little background on me. I've studied engineering. I've worked various different safety jobs. I even worked in a cancer research center for a bit in breast and brain cancer. So it particularly hit me hard when, unfortunately, doesn't even begin to describe how devastated I was when a children's cancer center in Palestine was bombed. I understand that there are safety regulations. Things like OSHA exist. At what point does OSHA become bombing a children's cancer center? I think we need to start questioning our decisions at that point. Where are those lines where maybe we've taken a step too far? Where we can no longer support what we've previously supported. And it's okay to change our minds, like others have said before. It's not a bad part of your character to have to change your mind with new information. But
Thank you. Your time has ended. If you would like to provide further remarks, you may do so pursuant to the written input guidelines attached to the agendas and also online.
I'm not sure I'm going to change anyone's mind on the issue in 2 minutes, but I did just want to remind people that we're voting on whether or not people are allowed to vote on this in November. That's all.
Okay, so indeed, it's a trifling resolution. You know, people will be voting on something completely immaterial. So in the best case, imagine it passes. Imagine the legislature, which the only can change the law, removes this prohibition. Which companies it will hurt? Unilever, and some international financial capital placement firm. Okay, so you're rooting now for Unilever, and but you want the people to have their voice. You want the people to win. I remember Campus was allied with the slogans, Genocide Joe, Kamala Killer, and he won. Trump was elected. Then you were like, oh, let's pass urban resolution that our taxes don't go to, to supply Israel with bombs. You won. Now Israel is bombing Iran with US assistance directly. US planes do it. Aren't you tired of winning, guys? I mean, why are you trying to split the left? It seems that you are trying to ally with the right. Anti-quote-unquote Zionism became trendy in the extreme right. So trying to implement the horseshoe theory? Okay, go ahead. But I would, if I were you, if I were worried about the peace and success of the left movement, I would just drop this nonsense. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment?
Hi, everyone. So again, I will just briefly remind that this is a vote to allow people to have a voice. And you can make the argument that maybe this is pointless or that it'll help one side or the other, but at the end of the day, the point of a democracy is to have a voice. It's to stand up for what you believe in, whether it be one side or the other. I do not like the idea of a government telling me that I'm not allowed to not invest. It is a bit of a bonkers assertion to say that you then must invest in something, right? This is not about a slippery slope of, providing checks to different organizations. No, this is saying, I choose not to offer money towards something. That is a choice every person has. And so I think this is a pretty clear choice of two things. One, that we are democracy. We should allow people to have a voice on this. And for two, that it is a bit of a dodgy thing to tell people you must provide money to something. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment at this time? All right, I now announce the closure of public input, and we will move on. Is there a representative from Cunningham Township staff who would please come forward to present on program updates?
Okay. Yes, I will. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Queenette Odudu, and I'm here to represent Supervisor Daniel Chanowet and the entire Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office today. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for taking an interest in the work and issues happening in our community. What I'll be sharing this evening is not just a set of numbers and charts. It's a picture of how Cunningham Township has responded to the real needs over the past year. These needs include housing, food, emergency support, and day-to-day help for residents trying to stay stable. I'm going to walk us through the major highlights from our annual report. So 2025 was a very significant year for Cunningham Township. These slides give a big picture of what happened in 2025. In 2025, our office supported residents in many different ways, from housing and food support to transportation, to utilities and digital access. These numbers represent everything we did, and I'm going to walk through each program in detail, but I want you to hold on to this slide as a big picture to give a clearer picture of where we started and also look at where we're coming from. So this is, for context, this is what happened in 2024. If you compare what happened in 2024 and what happened in 2025, you can see that the work is growing because the need is also growing. We have expanded and we've said more needs in 2025 compared to 2024. And these programs are all connected, and together they support the system many residents rely on today. Next, we're going to look at our financial reports. This is the financial snapshot behind the work. It shows that while service demands remain high, Township continues to manage resources carefully and direct a large share of spending towards public welfare and direct community support. The total revenue for the year ending June 30, 2025 came in at just over $4.1 million, up from about $3.9 million the prior year. The property taxes remain our primary revenue source. On the expense side, we could see that the public welfare spending, which is where our direct service live, rose significantly, reflecting the increased demand we are meeting in the community. Despite that increase, we ended the year in a positive net profit, net position of over $4.7 million, which speaks to our fiscal responsibility. And the data here is going to back us up. On this note, I would like to impute that we have needs of expanding our facilities to keep up with the higher demands of services we render. So we have been saving towards funding those projects. Now we're going to look at how this money was spent. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the public winter emergency shelter, PWIS. We're going to shift our focus to one of our most urgent responses in the year 2025, the Public Winter Emergency Shelter, or PWIS. It opened in November 2025, and thanks to our private donor in the community, we are scheduled to close it down May 23, 2026. This shelter offers 100 cots to male and male-identified residents and operates from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. or around the clock during severe weather. Why did we open this PWIS? Because Champaign County is experiencing the highest rate of homelessness in 25 years. In November alone, 76 men were unsheltered because our partner shelter Strides was already in full capacity. 104 individuals were stayed at least one night since we've opened, and behind these numbers are real people. The demographics here show us that this is an important story. 30% of our residents, 30% of the people residing in this PWIS are over 51 years old. 37 are disabled, they have disability. 66 have Medicaid, while 33% do not have Medicaid. So also worthy of note is that many of these men are deep-rooted here. Over 67% came into Champaign-Urbana before the shelter was even opened, and 34% have lived here for more than 10 years. This is not a shelter for outsiders, but people in our neighborhood, people in our community members. Moving on to the next slide is the General Assistance Program. I would like to highlight that our General Assistance Program is a monthly grant program for Urbana residents who are disabled or applying for disability benefits, helping them to stabilize their housing and health while they navigate the system. Importantly, last year, we launched a Career in Motion workforce development program where we offer intensive workforce and career development training to participants in need of these skills. In addition, we offer them accommodation for a limited slot, and this was a very huge success. Now we're going to look at the numbers. In 2025, CTSO spent $497,000 on general assistance and $350,000 through the rental assistance direct payment. If you look at this history chart, you will see that the fiscal year 2025 represents one of the highest spending years in our program history, this general assistance program history. It shows that the need has grown dramatically, and Cunningham Township has chosen to meet this need. Next, we will look at the recipients, the participants. The chart tracks the number of general assistance recipients who are homeless at the time of enrollment. After peaking around fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021, the numbers dipped, but we see that this climbed again in 2025. And this upward trend is something that we've been watching closely, and we are responding proactively. Next, we're going to look at the rental assistance program. The rental assistance program is a program that provides a one-time support to Urbana households who are either behind on rent or transitioning out of homelessness into housing. The rental assistance is often the support that helps prevent a larger crisis. Sometimes one payment is the difference between staying house and falling into homelessness, and this program is about preventing such crises from occurring. Looking at the data, since we launched this program in December 2017, we have served over 1,000 households that is over 1,000 families through this program. In 2025 alone, 331 households received direct payment totaling over $562,000. We also supported over 100 residents in applying for the state's rental assistance through the RPC. The cumulative investment since the program started is now over $1.5 million. And this $1.5 million is being kept in our community and is keeping people housed. Now let's look at our various housing services. Our Bridge to Home is a continuum of housing services. It is not just one program. It starts from our street outreach all the way up to through the emergency housing, transitioning housing, rapid housing, and the long-term housing navigation program. So to make this clearer, let's look at the impact. Since July 2020, the Bridge to Home program has served 772 households, 772 individuals across 546 households. And out of the 546 individuals, all were successfully placed in housing. That is about 71% placement rate. And all this has been tracked in the HMIS tracking data. I'm going to move on to the individual programs in Bridge to Home, starting with the Street Outreach Program. The Street Outreach Program is a program that meets people where they literally are, where they are. We go out to the streets to meet people who are experiencing homelessness, people who need these services, people who need this help. So our team meets unhoused individuals where they are. We provide assistance, we provide food, we provide water, we provide hygiene kits, tents, sleeping bags, weather-appropriate clothing, and services referrals. For this program, no appointment is needed, no prerequisites, just our team showing up to help these individuals who need this help. So next, we're going to look at the numbers. For the Street Outreach Program, we served 597 individuals since the program began, and with 187 people were served in 2025 alone, and that number has grown every single year since 2021. The majority of people we serve through this program are single men, single women, single parents, couples. Year over year, we've seen this program expand significantly. This is the church. Next, we are going to move to the emergency housing. So the emergency housing steps in when there is no safe, immediate alternative. It provides short-term shelter with case management, and the goal is always to move people towards a more stable and permanent housing. In 2025, we served 33 households through the emergency housing, including 25 children, and 90% of those households were successfully housed by the year end. Looking at the program success charts from 2021 to 2025, our housing outcome has remained consistently high. Next, we'll move to our emergency housing and transitional family housing program. This program specifically serves families with children in Urbana school or at crisis nursery who qualify as literally homeless. In 2025, we served 87 individuals, including 57 children across 27 families. Since the program launched in 2020, we have supported 103 households, including 207 children. Shifting now to the next program, which is the Rapid Rehousing Program. The Rapid Rehousing Program provides up to 12-month rent assistance and housing stabilization for individuals and families experiencing literal homelessness. In 2025, 29 individuals were served, including 15 children. And since this program started, 49 households has been served. And in 2025, 90% were successfully housed. The results are telling the success rate, and it has been climbing over years, from 75% in 2022 to 100% in 2023 and 2024. To put all these facts together and to give context, I'm going to share a story about one of our success stories. Her name is Janet, one of our participants in the Bridge to Home program. Janet was a mother with nowhere to return. She was homeless. She moved from place to place, sometimes sleeping in a car with her child. But with the support from township staff, she moved into our shelter house and got assistance with transportation, food, supplies, and housing navigation. We also assisted her in getting a move to work voucher, and now she was able to move into a permanent housing and is stable. She says, she tells people all around that she thanks God every day for placing her in township's path. Stories like this shows that we really do a good work that really matters in this community. Moving on to our Angel Donor Fund, and to show how this fund is actually utilized. The Angel Donor Fund is a good example of neighbors helping neighbors in a direct way. These are donations that cover practical needs that can make a real difference in the daily life, especially when there is no funding source available. In 2025, we raised $96,000, bringing the program's total since 2022 to over $251,000. So what do we do with this money? We assist participants to pay for birth certificates, mattresses, coats, diapers, wheelchairs, food, medical supplies, work clothes, and even rent, if necessary. The most important, this is very important, and we do not take it for granted. So if anyone in this room is interested in becoming our angel donor, we would love to talk to you and would love to get response from you. Next, I would like to show you how we are addressing food insecurity in our community. We have the Solidarity Garden plus the Free Garden Plot program. So for the Solidarity Garden, it addresses food insecurity through community food production and distribution. Through a network of 18 affiliates garden, over 12 food pantries, and hundreds of volunteers, this collaboration grows and distributes food while building community connection. In 2025, over 24,000 pounds of produce were grown and distributed, serving over 1,300 households, including 761 children. Building on that, the Free Garden Plot program offers 50 free garden plots at 5 different locations in Urbana for low-income and immigrant families, with 75 applicants this year alone. This program is funded by the Urbana Rotary, and we are deeply grateful to them for their partnership. On this note, we'll look at another way the Cunningham Township has helped people to settle down in their homes. The housewarming assistance program. So getting someone into a house is one step. Helping them make that space livable is another step. So our housewarming assistance program helps turn an empty unit into a home, which can make a big difference in making them more comfortable in their space. So this initiative is funded by private donations, and it helps newly housed families to furnish their homes with the basic items, the basic things they need in their space. In 2025, we used $20,000 to serve over 64 households, and the number of households served has grown every year since 2021. To date, we have invested $40,000 in helping people get necessary basic items they need in their home. Next, I would like to highlight another innovative program we launched this year, the Help Desk Plus Digital Inclusion Program. In response to the overwhelming call volume for assistance, CTSO launched the Cunningham Help Desk at the Urbana Free Library. It is staffed by 12 digital navigators trained by the U of I Community Data Clinic. The Help Desk helps residents apply for housing, utility, food, income, and disability benefits, and this is all for free. In 2025 alone, CTSO front desk received over 21,000 calls. These overwhelming calls for assistance led to the creation of this help desk team. The help desk team is located on the second floor computer lab of the Urbana Free Library and is open Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays from 12 to 4 p.m. and Tuesdays from 4 to 7:30 p.m. The next slide shows our collaborators. It is important to note that at this point that we did not do all this work alone. The long list of collaborators reflects what it takes to respond to these community needs, from the government to nonprofits to schools, health providers, faith groups, and many others working together endlessly to make our work a reality. We are indeed grateful to each and every one of these collaborators. This brings us to the end of the presentation, and as the final slide says, together we can end homelessness and hunger in Urbana. Tonight's report reflects a year of hard work, partnership, and commitment to our community. It also reminds us that the needs are real and ongoing. Behind every number is a resident, a family, a child, or a neighbor trying to stay safe and stable. On behalf of Danielle Chenoweth and the Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office, I want to thank you for your time, your support, and your continued partnership. If you have any question requiring follow-up, the detail of Danielle's email is here. You could send your questions directly to her email, and she will respond to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
The resolution. Yeah. So we have one resolution to vote on tonight via voice vote. Resolution number TA 2026-001R. A resolution to delegate authority to the Township Board to purchase, sell, and lease property. At this time, I will ask the Township staff to share the slide from the supervisor on the resolution.
Thank you. So this slide pertains to the next resolution that is about to be passed. Danielle would provide a short video on the importance of passing this resolution today. It's very low. It's so low. Could you?
Is the volume all the way up on the embedded video? Like, are you able to hover? Right.
Okay.
We are trying to address that. I'm attempting to resolve it with the township staff at this moment. So just give us a moment, please. Thank you. So in the embedded video, you see the volume control. I know the slide thing kind of covers it, so you got to like time it right.
Maybe if you full screen it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. In the embedded video, there's an option to toggle full screen. So when you go to the slideshow, there's a drop-down button right next to slideshow button, and you should be able to,
No, in the embedded video.
right, but to get back to full.
Yeah.
For the current slide.
Oh yeah. So slideshow, share.
So there's two arrows there in the upper right-hand corner of would that make it full screen? Like on the slide itself, like the orange, there you go. And then when we hit play on the video, there's the full screen option in the lower right-hand corner.
The box on the right.
The bottom, no. On the video itself, bottom right-hand corner, it looks like a box. That one, thank you. And then is the volume all the way up?
Yes, it's all the way up.
Okay. Barema, are you able to assist us in trying to get the volume increased on this in chambers, pretty please? Again, thank you so much for your patience as we try to figure this out. This is not a traditional meeting format. This is a once-a-year thing that happens all across the state in every single township on the second Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. So thank you for your grace and participation this evening as we do this once a year.
let me pause this and start again from the beginning. Yes.
Here we go. Oh no, it's all the way up. Just kidding. I was wrong.
Okay, I'm just going to start it again from the beginning.
Please, just let's finish the video and I will explain. Alrighty, so just to recap so that you can all hear. So the resolution, the supervisor explained, is the resolution delegating authority to the township board to purchase, sell, and lease property. Because unlike municipal government or county government, the township board does not have the legal authority to sign a lease, sell property, or purchase property without the authority of the electorate. And because our township does have numerous rental properties, and because they were awarded a grant from the state, we are asking the electorate this evening for their permission to grant the township board authority to purchase, sell, and lease property. Of course, the lease, sell, and purchase of all property requires a second public vote of the township board on the specific property in question, as well as lease terms, as well as a public hearing. So the vote before you this evening for Resolution TA 2026-001R, a resolution to delegate authority to the township board to purchase, sell, and lease property, is simply asking you guys to give your elected township board permission to do just that, to purchase, sell, and lease property. I apologize that the video audio was not audible. I was unaware until like 3 p.m. today that there was even going to be a video as part of tonight's presentation. So again, I appreciate your grace as we go through this. If there are any questions about what this resolution is, now is the time to ask. So unfortunately, as the township clerk, I am not aware of the future plans in that regard, especially in regards to the grant that they just received. But there is going to be further information on this prior to any vote of the township board and a presentation from the township staff and supervisor on whatever it is they are explicitly asking for. But I can tell you right now at this time that there are 2 office spaces currently leased in Lincoln Square Mall in Urbana, and that lease goes through June. And my guess is unless they have another place to go, they're going to ask to renew those leases. So that is one thing that I can tell you right now in terms of the permission of this resolution that they will be needing your support for should you wish to grant the town board that authority. No, it would go to the Cunningham Township Board. So this electorate only has, in this capacity at this meeting, only has authority over the township, which is the Cunningham Township and the city limits of Urbana. You would be granting them the authority
that's granted.
so that then a resolution or ordinance could go before them to be voted on should township like to renew. Yes. Correct. So there will be a public voting process for that as well. We are just giving them the authority to have that process. We're giving them the permission to have those items on the agenda. They still have to vote on each individual item at public meetings. Correct, but the requirements per state law for that are that they have to have an open public hearing, and that has to be advertised on a meeting agenda just like this for our Cunningham Township Board, which meets on the second Monday of the month at 6:30 p.m. And it has to be passed pursuant to the state laws regarding purchase of property. Sure. Are there any further questions at this time? Because we don't yet have a motion on the floor. So at this time, it's not discussion, it's just questions for point of information. So I see a hand from a seated person. At this time, I think that there was possibly another question in the audience, for just so that we all have like the same information before we make a motion on it. Sir, did you have a question? I am anticipating that as a typo, but this is precisely why we have questions and why you guys have written copies of this. So, sir, would you repeat what line that is? Sure enough. Thank you. Yes, that should say Cunningham Township, not Champaign Township. Thank you. Yeah, so that second line should read Cunningham Township, Champaign County, State of Illinois. Thank you. So long as the person who makes the initial motion to approve this resolution includes the adopted changes, we don't need a subsequent amendment if we get it right the first time. So great question. Were there any further questions at this time, or are we okay? So all meetings of all meeting bodies have public input periods. Public hearings, our intended purpose is to solicit public feedback. So there will usually be a presentation from the staff of that governing body. In this case, it's going to be the township, indicating what the purpose of the public hearing is, what they're wanting public feedback on. There will be an opportunity for public input, and then the meeting adjourns. They cannot take action in a public hearing. Subsequent to the public hearing, there will be a regular public meeting where the item will appear. And again, there is public input on that agenda as well, where people can provide further feedback, and then the board will vote. The public is not excluded from the decision process because they will have public input opportunities at both the public hearing and at the meeting, and they're able to sway the electors at that time. Are there any further questions at this time?
With no questions, I will now call for a motion with the, what do you call it, the addendum? With the amended language. All right, Theo Edwards with the motion. Second. Joyce Slayton. All right, so at this time, do you want to do a voice vote or like a raising hands? Okay. All right. At this time, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. Hearing more yay than nay.
No, only members of the electorate should be participating in making motions and voting, which was explained at the beginning of this meeting.
All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Can the town clerk explain the referendum advisory process and voting procedures for the Advisory question of public policy to be placed on the ballot for submission to the voters of Cunningham Township in Champaign County in the state of Illinois for the November 3rd, 2026 election. Shall the state of Illinois repeal amendments to the Illinois Pension Code that penalize American businesses for boycotting the state of Israel?
Alrighty. So this is a non-binding referendum advisory question that is before you on the annual town board agenda because a resident filed a petition with the clerk's office prior to March 1st, which is outlined in state law, specifically 60 ILCS 1/30-205 advisory referenda. And that requires that at least 15 registered voters within the constituency sign that petition, and it is duly filed no later than March 1st. The clerk must place the referendum on the agenda for the annual meeting, which is held each year on the second Tuesday of April. The registered voters of the township who are in attendance at the annual meeting vote on whether the referendum should be placed on the ballot at the next election. If it passes, the clerk must submit to the county clerk for placement on the ballot, and actually prior to that, the township board must ratify it via a resolution, a formal resolution at a township board, and it is a must. They shall adopt it, not may. And then, of course, I file that resolution with the county clerk for placement on the ballot, where it will go for a vote just for the registered voters within Urbana. It should also be noted that this does not place any burden on any government entity or any obligation. It is a non-binding referendum advisory question intended to survey the will of the voters. That is language provided by the supervisor. So yes, and this evening, much like we did in 2024, where we had similar referendum advisory questions, we'll be voting via ballot this evening. So if you have not yet done so, if you are a registered voter of Cunningham Township and reside within Urbana, please see the staff at the back of the room at the table. They have a sheet where you are required to provide your name and address where you are a registered voter if you are within Urbana. The number on the line corresponds with the number on your ballot, and we will be checking to ensure you are a registered voter. So with that, we can entertain a motion.
May I please have a motion to approve? Motion, Theo Edwards. Is there a second? Second, Eli, what was the last name? Allison. All right. First and seconded motion to approve the advisory question. We will now begin voting via ballot. If you're a registered voter that resides within Cunningham Township and Urbana, you may vote via ballot at this time.
And I believe the ballot box is on the back table at the back of the room. You are welcome to fold your ballot in half if you want to hide your vote. We are going to count them once every ballot is cast, and we will announce the final total number of ayes and nays and state whether this item passes or fails. There will also be one more item on this agenda that does require a motion and second, but we cannot proceed to that item until we have completed the vote on this item. So again, thank you for your patience with this process. And again, that ballot box should be at the back of the room. It's been recycled. You are allowed to vote.
Okay.
That's why everybody has a number.
I'm happy. I've evaluated staff for 20 fucking years. I'm happy to tell you how you actually do it, and it's not like a fucking hour. If you want to criticize your staff, do it. How do you think you got access to it? And who is everyone? Are they even union? Is there any way to verify? Talk about data. You want to say what somebody was pitching on data? Yeah. Are they tracking? Yeah. An IP? No, is there any Benjamin, if there is
I was at the school for he was describing sort of
Oh. never heard that. Wow. How long? How recent?
This is like last week.
Oh wow! I can't believe it took that long. Yeah. What I thought years ago.
Won't show up if there isn't some Israel film. It will not.
All right, everyone, at this time, I will now read the totals. I'm kind of going off script here. So, upon final ballots being cast, I have 4 voided ballots, 11 nay ballots, and 62 yay ballots. Which means that it is passed. And then there's just one more point, so don't leave yet. The time and place of the next meeting, the next annual meeting, will occur at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 13th, 2027. So in order to, is that to end the meeting? All right. So to approve the next meeting, I'm sure all you know what you're going to be doing a year from now. Can I have a motion to approve? All right. Motion to approve, name? Adam Nichols. Motion a second? Maxwell Haynes, seconded. All right. The moderator should then call for a voice. Can I get a voice vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Oh, wow. We can agree on something for once. Okay. The meeting is now adjourned.